Hey Warriors fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Chat Sports, and today we have to put a grade on every single Golden State Warrior free agency move here because the Warriors have been pretty busy, not gonna lie here. A lot of stuff to break down, and also at the very end, Boogie Cousins. There's some rumors swirling around here. Maybe a return to Golden State. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But let's jump right into every single Golden State Warriors free agent addition so far here on Chat Sports. Let's start with, of course, the big one, right? Klay Thompson re-signs with the Golden State Warriors. Got the max, right? 5-year, $190 million contract. There is a no-trade clause in this one, which is important, just like Steph Curry's contract. And also, there's no player option for the 5th year. So it's very, very similar to the contract that they obviously gave to Steph Curry a little while back. Again, he's coming off the ACL injury. What was interesting here is that they didn't sign him right away, right? We had the reports that it was like, all right, well, Klay Thompson, right, it's going to become official soon. And then it waited a little bit. I don't know about you guys. I got a little bit concerned going like, okay, we're going to offer the max, right? Like you are going to re-sign Klay, and then, of course, they did. The 2019 stats and senior screen, they speak for themselves. We know how good Klay Thompson really is. 21.5 points per game, 78 regular season games played. The big thing here is, when will he return? Again, ACL is not normally a full calendar year here, so you're looking at a scenario where Golden State could be without him for the majority of the season. But into that postseason, he could make a return and hopefully be at 100%. But again, to me, people are concerned about the injury, and it's like, well, I don't know. Should we have re-signed? Guys, no one should disagree. The Warriors did the right thing here in re-signing Klay Thompson. Just give him the max. He's done enough for the city, done enough for the team in general. Plus, you kind of need the big-name stars when you're moving over to Chase Arena in downtown San Francisco. I'm all for this deal. The grade we're going to give it, senior screen right there, it is an A for re-signing Klay Thompson. This one's easy. Let's go ahead and move on. But first, I'll ask you guys a question. Are you worried about Thompson's ACL injury affecting his long-term career with the Warriors? Type Y for yes and for no. Again, not as bad as Durant's Achilles, I would say. I'd say, if we're talking about, in general, which you'd rather have, if you had to pick ACL or Achilles, it is definitely the ACL. But again, Y for yes and for no. Go ahead and go down below. Moving along here. This one was weird, right? This one catch you guys off guard? D'Angelo Russell definitely caught me off guard. Obviously, the sign and trade where the Warriors gave D'Angelo a 4-year, $117 million contract. Now, remember, they had to get rid of Andre Iguodala to essentially make room for D'Angelo Russell. What's interesting, though, and we'll talk about this, is that the reports are, I think Mark Stein was reporting that Golden State's not going to keep him. He's not a long-term option at point guard for the Warriors. They're going to use him this year, but they could trade him at any time. Before we react to that, you see Russell's stats. This is a 23-year-old all-star, 21 points per game, 7 assists, played in 81 regular season games last year. But again, the fit, right? The fit is the question here. Now, I know, listen, Steph can play off ball, gets those ball screens down low, 3 in the corner, and, D'Angelo can dish to him. A lot of pick and roll with Kevon Looney, who we're going to talk about. Willie Cauley-Stein, we're going to talk about. Yes, I mean, it doesn't make no sense, but at the same time, long term, I don't see this being a big addition for the Warriors, and I'm curious to see what would happen when Klay came back and what kind of lineup they would run and how the ball movement would work. Again, because Durant was ball dominant, he was tall and ball dominant and defended really well. So Steph and you have D'Angelo defending in the backcourt. I don't know. I'm very curious to your guys' thoughts on this, because for me, again, if you're just going to use him as trade bait going forward, trying to get something back essentially for the Kevin Durant trade, or the Kevin Durant losing him in free agency, you want to sign someone, trade him, then get assets back, I can be on board for that. But again, I need to see on the court how this is going to work, especially when Klay's not there and it's just Russell, it's just Steph Curry, and just Draymond Green. My signing on this one, I'm going to give a C+. And again, that might be a little low because he is an all-star, he is young, and you can trade him. If you trade him for a good haul, this is obviously a good move. But right now, as constructed, C+. I'm curious how it works. How's Steph going to go in terms of is he going to be all the time off ball like Klay was when Steph was point guard? Just so many questions here. Do you understand why I'm doing a C+? I'm curious, actually. Let's go ahead and do a comment down below. was the signing of Russell a smart move for the Warriors? And if you think it is, I want you to explain why. I'm going to read the comments. I want to gauge the fan pulse here up there in Golden State. I'm very, very curious where you guys are at, because this was the one that I think scratched a lot of people's heads. And for me, I've heard both arguments. Again, you trade him, or two, you use him, you have pick and roll, and he can lob, and he can pass, and he can shoot. I've heard both sides. I'm curious what the fans have to think in terms of that going forward, so go ahead and leave a comment down below. Next big addition, Kevon Looney, right? Remember, got another re-sign, thought he wasn't going to come back for a while there, and yet signs that 3-year, $15 million deal with the Golden State Warriors. Listen, he was essentially the Warriors' best and most consistent center last year, because Boogie only played like 30 games, and we almost forget, Looney's only 23 years old, so now you have, Steph's still young, Klay's still young, Draymond, and then you talk about younger stars, Kevon Looney, not a star yet, but still young, and of course D'Angelo Russell being 23, as we already mentioned. The stats last year don't look great on paper, but Kevon Looney's more of an on-court kind of guy instead of a stats kind of guy. 4.5 points per game, the 5.2 rebounds, 80 regular season games played. Overall, it's easy to kind of look past this. It's like, oh, okay, Kevon, yeah, whatever. Very important that they re-signed him. The Warriors really wanted to get Kevon Looney, and they were worried that someone else would offer more money. Didn't happen. He wanted to come back. $15 million over 3 years was enough. This is an A from me. It's a great addition here. He will be the #1 center in Golden State this coming season. High pick and roll, high pick and roll, high pick and roll. The lob, the dunks, the defense. I'm all for Kevon Looney. I know you guys probably are too, because again, not a lot else out there in terms of what are we going to do at the center position. Although as we move along here, they did make another move for another big man and signing former Kentucky Wildcat Willie Cauley-Stein, right? Well, we all kind of recognize the name, but what kind of player is he? Now, there are no official word on the details of the contract, but he has signed for slightly above the minimum. Don't know the numbers for you, but slightly above the minimum, so cheap, right? Not making a lot of money. He's going to back up Kevon Looney, so Looney will get more minutes, but still, you could rotate Cauley-Stein in there at the 5 again. Could be very, very interesting. 7 foot and the lob threat, right? The defense and the lob threat from Curry and Russell to Cauley-Stein could be very, very interesting. 2019, right? Those stats are pretty good. 11.9 points per game, 8.4 rebounds per game, 81 regular season games being played. This tells me that Damian Jones, of course, who's on the NBA, who's on the Warriors Summer League team, center, not that high in terms of where the Warriors think he can go, so they wanted to get another big in there behind Kevon Looney. I actually really, really like this addition as well. In terms of, you look at, the Warriors weren't going to make any massive splashes in free agency after getting D'Angelo Russell. That was their big, like, hey, look, we got someone. And in terms of everybody else, Looney to me is a great addition. And Willie Cauley-Stein also, rotate him in there. Who knows, talk about JaVale McGee was elevated playing in Golden State. Who's to say Willie Cauley-Stein can't be elevated as well? A for the signing. I'm all for this signing as well. The final addition the Warriors have made up to the date of this video being released is Glenn Robinson III. Now, they gave him a 2-year deal. The money is not officially out there yet, but you will assume probably pretty cheap. He played for Detroit in 2019. I know we kind of sit here and it's like, I gotta recognize this guy. He played for Detroit in 2019. He's a 25-year-old, I guess, veteran now, but still young, right? Perimeter player, can shoot. The stats last year, 4.4 points per game. You can see him on your screen. The big one is the 36% from 3 career, right? Perimeter shooting, that's what we need. Now, last year, he was 29% from 3. So it's like, all right, it needs to come up a little bit. But hopefully, he can kind of fill that perimeter hole, or fill a perimeter hole. You can rotate guys in there. Because, of course, no Klay for the majority of this year, and no Iggy as well off the bench. So I think that's kind of the thought here with Glenn Robinson, trying to get him on here. Be kind of a 3 guy, come in, give us minutes, fill the hole, because I'm curious how exactly they're going to do without Klay Thompson, where they're going to play people, how they're going to rotate people around. And you lost, you lose a guy, a couple of your other guys who fill this role in free agency. So you sit there and it's like, Glenn Robinson, the addition, I like it. I'm curious to see how well he shoots from 3 this year, which is very important. Let's put a B+ grade on this one, as again, he needed to fill a hole, and I'm just curious to see how he's going to look in a Golden State uniform. Same kind of way with Willie Cauley-Stein. Could Steph elevate him, make him better, 4.4 points per game, get that up to 8, 9, 10? I don't know. It is definitely the team that can, essentially rise people up, bring people up to the occasion. So hopefully Robinson is a lot better than I'm giving him credit for right now. That's who we signed currently. Again, it can always change, and obviously when you watch this video, I don't want to see comments down below going, oh, well, we signed this guy, and it's like, Okay, well, at the time of me filming this, they haven't signed that guy yet. So again, stay up to date here on Chat Sports by subscribing for the latest Warriors news and rumors. I will finish with a quick rumor here about Boogie Cousins. I'm looking for who potentially they could also be signing. There's not a lot left out there, not a lot of rumors going around Warrior Nation, but Boogie Cousins. Now, remember, Cousins expected to leave and make anywhere like essentially a one-year deal for some team that maybe missed out on a major free agent, right? You missed out on Durant, missed out on Russell, you missed out on Tobias Harris or whatever. You could go ahead and get Boogie for like $12 to $20 million. Well, according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, Boogie's market is, quote, really thin. Like, no one is offering Boogie Cousins money at all. Teams do not want to pay the former Warrior big man. So most likely right now, I think he's going to sign somewhere for what could really be a one-year deal even below the mid-level exception of like $9.2 million. Now remember, he played for like $5.4, $5.6 million in Golden State, so he'd make maybe a little bit more. But overall, you sit there and it's like, man, you almost feel bad for the guy because the market is just not there. He's going to have to sign another cheap one-year deal, prove it, and play more than 30 games, as of course we look at, at the stats here. Play more than 30 games during the season and look not as up and down in the postseason, and then maybe he'll get that long-term deal that he desperately craves. The Warriors' bigs look like this, obviously. Kevon Looney, Cauley-Stein, Damian Jones. So the Cauley-Stein addition, I think, kind of slammed the door on a Boogie Cousins return. But again, if he's still out there, let's say we're days and days and days and days, like no one signed Boogie Cousins, maybe he'd come back for real cheap for the Golden State Warriors. You could throw him in there and say, hey, Cauley-Stein, Looney, here's Boogie Cousins, a proven all-star. Battle with him and see who can be the big man on campus. Again, I look for other news and rumor stuff there. There just isn't a lot brewing right now. I think Golden State is probably done in terms of their big-name free agent additions. Boogie was the only other one that potentially could be an option going forward. We'll just have to sit here and wait and see. Would you guys want the Warriors to bring back Boogie? Like, would you guys be interested? I'm curious your the fan thought on Boogie Cousins and what he did last year. Again, 16.3 points per game and 8 rebounds. The stats are good. It's just the health, the longevity. 30 games last season in the regular season is not enough, in my opinion, to pay a guy because, again, Cauley-Stein played 81. I think Kevon Looney also, what was the stat, played 80. So it's like these two guys are younger, they're cheaper, they're less injured, and they also are on the field or on the court for a lot longer. So overall, listen, I've liked what the Warriors have done in free agency. Klay was obviously, you had to do it. Yeah, I like the additions. I like bringing back Kevon Looney and Willie Cauley-Stein, and we'll see essentially what Glenn Robinson can do. The question mark for me and why it was the lowest grade is, of course, D'Angelo Russell, who, again, you hear Russell, you think, oh, where is that, another all-star? But it's like, how's it going to fit? How's it going to work? He's a ball-dominant point guard. I know Steph can play off the ball, but again, as I said earlier, it's just weird to me, and I'm not sure that it's going to work out. And so maybe the reports that they're saying of, they got him to essentially fill the gap with Kevin Durant, and then they're going to use him as trade bait to get assets going forward. That makes more sense than actually being a long-term, play out your 4-year contract for Golden State. Again, we'll see. That's the beauty of the Golden State Warriors. Obviously still relevant, even with KD going to the Nets and Klay Thompson being injured. I think we're still just fine, and I like what they did from a front office standpoint of bringing in some new guys to help fill roles in their absence. Again, always curious. You guys go down, comment down below your guys' thoughts on the Warriors free agency class overall. I read every single one, and we'll do this again next week. For Chat Sports, I am Thomas Mott signing off. Again, be sure to subscribe. Plenty more Golden State Warrior content coming in the next couple of weeks. Every single week here on Chat Sports. Again, I'm Thomas Mott signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.